Hello, I'm Max, and in January I set myself a New Year's resolution to make at least one video a month. Now from one abject failure to another in Britain's electoral system. It's gonna be a fun one today. But Max, politics is so boring. Ugh. Now, where have I heard that before?
Thank you very much for watching.
Now Sam, what do you make of that? That was CGP Grey talking about electoral reform. That must have been fascinating for you.
It's boring.
Well, I suppose for everyone it's not the most interesting thing, but...
Doesn't bloody matter.
Well, I understand to some people this can be a bit boring, but if you're paying attention, it'd be really important you are. So what voting system does the UK use in the House of Commons? The only part of the British Parliament we can vote upon. It's a system called First Past the Post, or abbreviated as FPT. Essentially the same system used in America where they vote for Congress, House and Senate. If you get the most votes in a particular district or constituency, you become that area's representative. MP, representative, senator, whether that be Birmingham Yardley, Chorley, California First, the state of Pennsylvania. As long as, and only as long as, you get more votes than your nearest rival, then you win. But it doesn't matter if it's 2 or 20,000 votes. And herein lies the issue with FPT. If you have more than 2 candidates, it falls apart. If you have 2 candidates, you can always ensure one will have more than 50% of the vote. But when you have more than 2... Take Belfast South, where the Member of Parliament there, or MP, was elected on just under 25% of the vote. That means 3/4 of all their constituents voted for someone else. I despair for democracy. Now, admittedly, this is the most extreme example ever. No, seriously, this is the lowest share of the vote an MP has ever been elected on since the end, well, at least this side of the Second World War. And while this is an extreme example, at last year's election, out of the 650 MPs elected to Parliament, 331 were elected under 50% of the vote. That's over half, quite ironically. And if you think that's bad, the Blues, the winning party at last year's election, got 51% of the seats up for grabs with 37% of the vote. And you ain't seen nothing yet. In Scotland, the Yellows got 51% of the vote up there, but won all but 3 of Scotland's 59 seats up for elections. But once again, we know all voting systems are
boring.
Yeah, you may agree, this is a tad unfair. But does it really matter? Or does it? No, it really does matter. But imagine the opposite problem. What if you're in one of those ultra-safe seats, the one that's always red, always blue? Take Liverpool-Walton for the Reds, and Chelsea and Fulham for the Blues. The US equivalent would be Hawaii for the Democrats, and Utah for the Republicans. And in the US, that leads to a whole host of different and more awful results in presidential elections, but that's for another video. Anyway, imagine living in one of those seats where you're part of the population, about 30 to 40%, who never votes for the party that's always going to win. Or you could do a Scotland, where the Yellows overturned massive majorities the Reds had. But to be fair to the Yellows, and to how politics works in the UK, I think that's a very rare exception to the rule. More than likely, your vote won't make a squat diddly difference. Then why should you engage in your local politics when everything is so fixed? It's no wonder that turnout is falling across most Western democratic societies. Hell, in the last UK elections, 1 in 3 people who were registered to vote chose not to. And to be fair to the red and blue parties, why should they try and tailor their policies to you if you're disengaged or live in one of the ultra-safe seats? They're too busy focusing on the hyper-marginal and hideously undemocratic constituencies. If the elections had been roughly proportional, the results, instead of this, would have been this. I'm not even advocating fully fledged proportional representation in the House of Commons, or per. For one, there's a multitude of varying electoral systems that CGP Grey has done a series of videos on, which you should check out, links below. And secondly, the House of Parliament has two chambers, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. You can mix and match, pick and choose, but like a sweet shop, but more depressing. And here's the problem with the electoral reform. Even if you do make it engaging, which I hope this has been somewhat engaging, it's not simple to explain. It's not a conversation you can have over the doorstep or over a water fountain. It doesn't quite work. As much as raising the political discourse is something we nearly all aspire to, in the short to medium term, we need something short, simple and clear. But electoral reform doesn't allow for such easy and simplistic language and communication, hence why we get this.
It's boring.
Anyway, sorry for the big gap in producing content. Maybe I might be making more videos now. I've been Max, and ta-ra. Right, let's see. Now this YouTube thing's got to. I've not been on the channel in ages. Oh. 64 subscribers. That's a lot for me, okay? And now for something completely different.
And it doesn't bloody matter. Oh shit, the laptop! I think I broke it.
That's what we can stick at the end.